Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've done a live stream. It has been quite a long time, so setting up took me quite a while today, and hopefully I didn't keep you hanging around for too long. So what have you been up to? What have you been doing? How has your 2020 taken you? What challenges have you faced? And what have you achieved? And what are you planning to achieve? I really want to kind of dig down and see what you're up to. So hopefully the audio and visual is good for you. I think the lighting is probably not quite right in here, but it will do. Content is king. Let's get started. And don't forget to write in the chat and let me know what you're working on at the moment, what technologies you're using, and what you want to get into. I can't see the chat right now, so let me just move this over here and then I can see the chat. So if you're here, don't forget to give us a wave, or actually you can't give us a wave. I'm the one that's on camera. So write hi in the chat and it'd be good to see who's here. So my 2020 has been actually really interesting. I had some really great conferences. I've got lots more conferences coming up, and that's really helped me to network, meet more people, meet like-minded people, and learn from them as well as share my experiences with them. So today, I just want you to come with your questions and let's try and answer them. And if I can't answer them, I can find out and get back to you. Hi Tesh, is that how you pronounce your name? How you doing? Thanks for joining. How's the video and audio? Hopefully it's okay. I was trying to tweak some of the settings today. And yeah, hopefully it's okay. I think the lighting's not quite right, but we'll get it better. We'll make it work for next time, don't worry. And I do have a behind the scenes camera, which I can't remember which button it is. 1 second, let me check. Maybe actually I don't have that one set up. That's really stupid. I have a camera up here showing you my awesome setup, my multi-screen setup. It was on the holding page when the stream just started. However, I didn't make a scene for it. So if you want to see that, let me know. I can spend 10 seconds, 30 seconds just setting that all up. So what technologies have you been doing? So I started giving an Angular course with GDG Cloud London. And it was really good. It was great to get people into Angular and show them that it isn't scary. Yes, it is a framework. It's not a library like some of the others, but it is easy to get started with their CLI. You can just type kind of ng new and create your whole project for you with the testing all built in, everything there using TypeScript. Oh, it's just lovely. So a lot of them were really impressed and fascinated that it was quite simple to do. And then that was our part one. We've got 3 more parts. We're going to dig more into components, pipes, directives, and then dig further into kind of data, services, and state and deployment. Alona, hi, how you doing? Hello from Ukraine. This is an impromptu stream, so I didn't plan it on socials. I've got a stream tomorrow with actually a friend of mine called Sergey from Ukraine as well. So we're going to try and do a collab, a joint stream. So I thought today it would be really good for me to set up my my equipment, as it's been quite a long time since I've done a stream. And I've noticed some improvements I need to make for tomorrow. The lighting isn't so great, but hopefully the audio and visual is okay and you can see me and you can hear me. So I do have some other screens set up. So I do have it so this is, let me move this out of the way. So you can kind of see my computer screen. That's the idea. And I haven't got anything on the screen to show you. That's more when we do some coding, but we're kind of going to give that a miss. Not going to worry about that. You can kind of come back to me and let's have a chat. Today it was more of a kind of a shorter stream, more of a chat to see what everyone's been working on. So, you know, I'm really passionate about open source and getting more people into open source and getting more people to shout about their learnings, what they're doing, be it writing blog posts, doing live streams, going to meetups, whatever it is that works for you. I'm keen to encourage people to do it more so that they can stand out from the crowd. Because there are so many developers out there and there are so many good developers out there. So upskilling our skills is definitely one thing we have to do. But also we need to share the challenges and successes we've had and how we've overcome those challenges. So a lot of people, share things on Instagram, on Twitter, be it written form, like a blog post, or short form on Twitter, or I did mention that already, but I meant Twitter's more for short form and blog posts is for longer written form. But you can also do video clips on socials, on Twitter and Instagram, and you can do longer videos on YouTube. Video and audio, very good. Cool. Thank you, Alona. That's awesome. Everyone say hey to Alona. She's my video editor. She does so many awesome videos for me. So all the great videos that have been edited are by her, and all the bad ones are done by me. But thank you very much for tuning in from Ukraine. So yes, tomorrow, 1 o'clock UK time, I have a call with UTOR to talk about testing, automated testing. I'm trying to decide what project to pick. I've got my open source project, Dashboard Hub. I've got my open source project, Code Mortals. But they're quite small. And so I would love to have picked a client project, which is a lot bigger. However, it's private, so it's a lot harder to do. I didn't get permission in time to do that. So we will pick a project and we will see how it goes. And I know you're all keen to see my setup. And I've got a camera right there. Give me 2 seconds, or maybe 30 seconds, and let me just share that camera. I'm sure I can do it fairly quickly. Hopefully I don't bust the stream or anything. But yeah, it would be good to kind of show it to you, because I'm proud of my setup. It's a bit messy in here today, but I'm keen to kind of show it to you. And in the chat, just write any questions you have. If it's about coding, if it's about finding your next job, if it's about interviews, if you want to know, if you have any questions about interviewing, how to prepare for them, about what technology you're learning, you're stuck on something, how best to put yourself out there so you can get noticed, be it a portfolio, open source contribution, GitHub, socials, as I've mentioned already. So yes, just leave a comment and let me know, and I will reply. Or not a comment, leave a message in the chat. Give me 2 seconds. Let me set this up. I'm quite excited to show this to you. So this should be, I'll call it behind the scenes. Actually, I can show you what I'm doing. Let me bring this over here. And if I switch to my screen, then you should be able to see my screen. I'm just going to create a new scene, which is, I'll just call it back, as in like, behind the camera rather than behind the scenes. It's too long. So let's go back. See, I told you I'd break it. So, I want to show it to you, but I don't want to bust the stream. So I think I need to switch to studio mode. If I bust this, just let me know, and I can then, I'm sharing my screen, hopefully. No, now I'm showing my screen. So you can see kind of on the right is what you're seeing. On the left is me preparing. So if I come back, there's nothing in this. And so let me just go to, if I add, we need an audio input, which will be the Yeti. So if I add audio input, and I can select the Yeti, which is my microphone just here. Hopefully you heard that. And then also if I pick the back camera, so I say video capture, and then it's going to be, I think it's going to be cam faded. I don't know why I called it that a long time ago. Oh, I faded it a bit as well because the lights are quite bright. So if I just make that bigger, there you go. I think that's pretty cool. And then actually I can get my little mascot and add them as well to it. So I think I can do this too. So hopefully this is working, and hopefully you can see it. But I think I've just realized you can't see it. I'm being really stupid. So what I need to do is switch to screen, transition that. This is what I'm doing on my computer. So I'm being really stupid. It's been so long since I've done this that I'm a bit rusty. Actually, so I've tried very hard to get started with open source. Hi Tesh, that's a really good question. Trying to get started with open source with Python, but it's so depressing that I couldn't start. That's why I'm also depressed. I don't know if it's the right place to do this. When you say, but it was, so you try to get started by open source and Python, and if you could explain a bit more what your challenges were. I mean, why did you find it depressing? Is it because it was really hard to get started? If you give me a bit of background, I'd love to help you. And I really believe open source is for everybody. You don't even have to be a coder to get into open source, because people can get involved in documentation, translation, testing. There's so many things you can do. But if you're a coder in Python, then there is so much choice out there. So let me know what your challenges are. Is DSA must for open source? What's DSA? I'm not aware of DSA actually. While you're writing that, I'm just going to finish off this, and so I can give you, there we go. Okay, I think I'm done. Right. So while we're waiting for Hitesh, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, to reply, let me, I can show you what my setup is like. So this is kind of my setup. Hey, oh, you're kind of behind me over there, but this is my setup. So I love my studio setup. I've got a green screen. You can just see the corner of it on the side. Which way is my hand? That way. You can just see the corner of it on the side. And that's how I kind of get just me in the picture. Anyway, that's kind of boring. So let's go back to me. So hopefully that works. So yes, let's talk more open source. Let's get you into open source. Let's get you contributing to open source today. I want to show you how easy it is to contribute to open source. I can give you a quick demo if you want. Open source projects are always need help. Even from just an outsider's point of view, when you're looking at it from an outsider's point of view, you'll notice things. Like when people have a quick start and they say step 1, step 2, step 3, they've probably missed a step in there. It's just an assumption. And so it's really good to go through people's quick starts, and you'll probably notice that they're missing something, and you can add that in, and then so many people will thank you for that. Data structure and algorithms. I think open source is important for everything, every technology project. They even have legal documents going on GitHub open source. Code of conducts are on there. There is nothing that cannot be made open source. And so I think, they say code is eating the world. Well, open source is eating code. So it is just becoming more and more popular. Imagine, and when I interview people, I'll come back to the Imagine part in a second. When I interview people, if I can see a GitHub account and see what they've been working on, it helps so much more than just looking at a CV, because on a CV, people can write whatever they want. So CV is kind of mostly pointless, in my opinion. Whereas, so going back to the Imagine, so imagine you had your money and you've got a gardener coming to your house to do your garden. And one's got, saying all the right things, it sounds amazing, but they have no pictures to show you, like a before and after. Whereas someone else comes along, imagine they don't even say anything. They just show you a picture of a before, and they show you a picture of an after, and then they show you 10 different ones of those, and you're going to go, wow. And that speaks a lot, and you can actually see their work. So it's really important to get involved in open source wherever you can. But I noticed you've just written another message, so let me have a look. When I looked at the huge code base, I didn't understand the whole code, what's happening. Yeah, it's really hard to pick a big project. So don't pick a huge project. I would suggest picking something smaller. Pick a smaller project that maybe your friend has done, or a library that you use in your project. Like in Python, I understand for the framework, for the MVC framework, for the backend, there is Django. That's massive. It's been going on for so many years, got so many contributions. That's a really, really big project. So I wouldn't try and do something like that. That is hard to get into. You want to work up to that. So either start a project for yourself using Django and put that open source, or I would suggest see if your friends have got some open source projects, or any people you follow on Twitter have some open source projects with that technology stack that you want, and try and get involved in those ones. And or some of the libraries that you use. So with Django, I'm sure you've got a whole raft of other dependencies. Then try to have a look at some of those smaller dependencies and try and get involved in those, writing documentation, automated tests, improving the test coverage. Definitely start small and work your way up to it. Hopefully that helps. I suggest you do one now, like literally tonight, while we're on this live stream. Go try and find a smaller project and make a contribution. No matter how small the contribution is, if you're making an improvement and you're adding value, then it's welcome. If you just want to practice the flow of the open source flow, as in forking a project, making a commit in your fork, and then submitting a pull request back to the original repo, then I have some projects that are designed just for you to practice. So you can have a look at my GitHub, and you know what? Let me bring that up and show you. So if I switch back to this one, if I switch back to here, and let me bring my GitHub up, and I can show you the project that I mean. And it's just, I've called it kind of a Hacktoberfest project, but it can be done any time of the year. It started off with Hacktoberfest in mind to give people a chance to practice it. But hopefully you can all see my screen. And I've got this Hacktoberfest practice. So if you want, I can put my GitHub link in the chat. so you can find the project. And I've got this Hacktoberfest project. All you got to do is just put your name at the bottom of the README. So it's really straightforward. I don't want to use the word simple because not everything is simple when you know how, and when you don't know how, it's quite hard. So I've got some instructions in here. If you see any improvements on those, please by all means make some improvements. But the idea is, what you do is you just put your name to the bottom of the list, or you make it, I think it's alphabetical at the moment. Let me see. Someone has organized it alphabetically. So just put your name in alphabetically. And it's just good practice to make the open source contribution, to follow the flow of forking a project and submitting it back. And then you'll get that green box on your GitHub, and then just build up from there. Just do a bit more from there, and just keep making those little improvements. I have many other open source projects. You're more than welcome to make any contributions to those. I'm sure they all can have more improvements. And if you want to see what open source projects I'm working on, just drop me a follow, and then you get to see what open source projects I'm contributing to, and you're more than welcome to join in. I can even look at some of your work if you want. If you've created a pull request for a project and you want me to have a look and you need a bit of help on it, then definitely let me know. So who else have we got on the live stream? What are you working on, and what are your goals for 2020? I mean, Hitesh, keep typing away in the chat. It's really good that you're engaging, so I really do appreciate that. And let us know. So it sounds like your goal is to get more into open source. Anything else? And what about the others on the stream? I think open source is a big step to help us push our careers, not only to learn, but to put us out there. I mean, it is social coding after all. And then after that, when you make a pull request, you're kind of excited. You want to do another one, especially when it gets accepted. And then you can do things on Twitter and just say, hey, I did a pull request, and take a screenshot of your PR. And then you're kind of building up, you're kind of cross-pollinating and building up your other social platforms, because your audience and your community are not all on the same platform. Some people love Instagram. I don't. I do use it, but I don't like it. And some people, use Twitter. Others prefer to read blog posts. Some people like to be on YouTube and watch videos. So I prefer to watch a video than read a book, or I get the audiobook. So you got to go across a few platforms to kind of capture your audience and then help yourself stand out, because you want to stand out and you want people to recommend you for a project, or be it a freelance project or be it a permanent project for a job. And I think that's really important. That will really help you kind of accelerate your career, because then you can get more projects, more jobs, and then better paid jobs, better paid projects, and then you move forward and you keep going. It's not a sprint, it is a marathon. So it is something you just want to keep building on every month. If you can kind of build on it a bit more. When it comes to open source, as we're talking about open source, I would highly suggest trying to every day or every 2 days, trying to spend 15 minutes making a contribution. I mean, it's so simple to make a contribution. Let me see. If I go to, you can still see my screen. If I go to my activity list, let me see what other people have been working on, and let me see if I can make a contribution. So my friend Andrew Cunliffe, who runs the Code Mortal channel with me, let me put a link to that in the chat. He's been working on his Vendor Bedrock project. So let's have a look and see if we can create a pull request to that. So this is his project. I've started it already, hence it came up in my feed. But his README is not very good. So sorry, Andrew, if you're watching, your README is great. Ding. But it's just important. Of view documentation, he has got a link to documentation, so that is really good. So personally, I would put a screenshot to that in the README. So that's something we can do for him as a contribution. And if it's something he doesn't want, he doesn't have to accept it. Andrew, you better accept it. And let's just do that. But he's got some really nice documentation, but people don't know about it. So if I take a screenshot, hopefully you can see that. You can hear that screenshot, and then if we go back a page, and here we can just edit. This is how simple it is. You don't even have to fork the project and clone it. You can get GitHub to do it for you. So all you need to do is click on the README, and just hit edit. And it says fork this project and edit. So now it's in a forked version. We've created a fork for you to commit to. Okay, so propose the file changes. Let's have a look. So what I would like to do is just put a screenshot here below. So the best way to do that, I think, without adding the file to the repo, is I'll also create an issue and drag and drop the image into. So screenshot to README. Creating a PR on a live stream. Nerdface, right? And then I can just grab my screenshots folder when I find it. Give me 2 seconds. And then I can just drag and drop that in to here. There you go. And then what GitHub is going to do now, it's uploading it. And then what it will do is upload it and give me a link to the image. I'm just going to grab that image. I'm still going to create this issue. I think it's important to create it, and you'll understand why in a minute. And then I'll come back here, and I'm going to add an image. So an image is exclamation mark, square brackets, and this is the kind of the alt text. So we'll just say documentation, screenshot, that doesn't look spelled right. Documentation, that look better. Documentation, screenshot. Wow, been a long week. And then I'll put the link in, and I can preview the changes, and we should see the image. So in here, we will say, and we will use the issue number, so issue number 11. So we will say it's a feature. Well, it's really docs, not a feature, docs. And this is just following the conventional commit changelog. You don't have to follow this. A lot of projects do, and some don't. So have a look and see what they follow on the project. But I would say docs, and I would just say README is a terrible thing, because in the commit message, it will already know what the file changed is. So, docs, I can't say docs again, just let me think. Docs, README. Okay, I'm gonna do that, that's terrible, don't do that. And then added, not added, because you'll know from the commit that it was added. Screenshot for the README, screenshot of docs added. I hate that, but let's just do that for now. And then I will put a hash and then the issue number. That way it becomes a clickable link in the history. So if I propose that file change, and it will show me my changes, and then it's saying that it's going to take it from Eddie Bedrock branch patch to master Vensra Bedrock. And I hit create, and I could put a description or a screenshot in here, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm just going to hit create. I recommend putting something in there. A screenshot really helps. And so now, as a pull request, oh, actually one thing I should do is say closes 11. So when this gets merged, it will automatically close the issue. It just keeps things a lot tidier. And that's it. And if you go to my account, you'll see, let me go up to here. You'll see I'll have a copy of, and I go in repositories, I will have a fork of the project. And I didn't create that. There you go, a fork of the project. I didn't create that. It was GitHub did that automatically for me. So that's how simple and straightforward it is. Hitesh asks, are you planning to upload tutorial videos regarding Python libraries and all stuff? I don't really do Python. That's not my area of expertise. So Python, unlikely. I'm more likely to focus on full stack JavaScript, full stack TypeScript, and tech events, hackathons, meetups, and conferences. So I'm really keen. I know a lot of people can't go to a lot of events that I go to, so I'm really keen to share that with the wider community. But if you want some Python stuff, I know a lot of people in the Python community, so maybe I could get them to do some videos for my YouTube channel. And anything particular in Python that you'd like to see? You should really do this more often, live coding. Asmodee, hopefully I pronounced your name right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that positive feedback. That really helps. When I get that positive feedback, I really want to do it more often. So yeah, just keep those positive feedbacks coming. They really, encourage me to do more. It's been a long time since I've done a live stream, and yeah, that's really bad of me. I've been doing a lot of videos, but videos don't have that kind of two-way conversation, and it's really great to hear more from yourself who are watching about what I'm doing and get that kind of feedback both direction in real time, or real-ish time, because there's like a 30-second delay on YouTube. So yeah, that's awesome to hear. What else? Asmodee. Again, hopefully I pronounced that right. What else would you like to see? What's your background? What do you do? What are your goals for 2020? I'd be really interested to hear what everyone's goals are. So my goal is to get more into DevRel and to do more tutorials on YouTube. So I'm really keen to get more people into tech, and I think the way to do that is to add more tutorials. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube already, and so I want to do something slightly different. I don't want to do the same over and over again. I'm keen to do things a bit differently, more about probably the DevRel side, but also I do love the hardcore coding, doing real-time streams with, say, Firebase and Angular, and using GitHub Actions. I mean, do you use GitHub Actions? Do you use CI? It's just so awesome. GitHub Actions, which is GitHub's solution to CI, which is very similar to Travis CI or Circle CI, is going to take over the world. It's literally click and go, and it's so easy to set up. Not easy, easy is the wrong word. So straightforward to set up, but it is easy, but I just don't like the word easy. And so fast, and it's just brilliant. If you want me to show you that, I can show you one now. Sachin retracted their message. Okay, let me know. You've written another one down below. And Hitesh says, just all stuff actually. I want to explore Python as much as I can. Okay, I'll see what I can do in the Python area. That's not my area of expertise, but we'll see what we can do. Thanks, Eddie. Your work inspires us. Sachin, hopefully I pronounced your name right. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Thank you so much for that positive feedback. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up on the video. Again, that helps the algorithm. It makes me kind of look good on YouTube. But thank you so much. I'm keen to do more of these, so getting that positive feedback is great, and we'll do more. I'll try and do one per week, and it'd be interesting to know what challenges people have had that week. Maybe I can do something focusing on those challenges. So who here watching has done GitHub Actions? I know this is a bit of a sidetrack to the I guess the other stuff I was talking about, but I think GitHub Actions is so freaking awesome that we need to do a quick demo, and literally the demo will be over in like 20 seconds. That's how straightforward it is. So if you haven't got CI on your project, you need to get it on your project because it's really straightforward to do. And even if you haven't got automated tests, even if you haven't got the automated deployments, just some of the commands you run locally, you could run on CI just to make sure everyone contributing, everyone in the team is at the same, not level's not the right word, but at the same, keeping the same standards, like if you're using a linter or something, for example. What else have we got? I'm supporting a software written in Node.js. Node.js is becoming so popular. I used to do, like kind of 15 years ago, Java and PHP, and the last kind of 8 years since then, it's been full stack JavaScript, so Node at the back end, with TypeScript, JavaScript, and Angular, a bit of React, but a lot of my clients like the bigger projects, the enterprise projects, so they're going more for the framework rather than the library. Ellie, love the videos, not enough YouTube talk about open source, seems like a great way to stand out. Yes, Ellie, yes. Music to my ears. It is really important. I was saying before, I don't know if you were on the live stream before earlier, and I was saying that when I get a CV, when I hire a lot of people, remote, kind of offshore, in London, and when I get a CV, if there is no GitHub link, it's straight to the bottom of the pile. If there is a GitHub link and there is activity on their GitHub, it goes straight to the top of the pile. So usually I end up with like 2 or 3 people at the top, kind of 20 people in the middle who have a GitHub link with nothing kind of going on. It's kind of pointless. And then a few people at the bottom that have no link. And the few people at the top, I'm straight away on their GitHub. And it doesn't matter what level the quality of the work is. I want to really look for that. I look at their code from recently, and I look at their code from, say, 3 or 6 months ago, and I just want to see that they've improved between then and now. That's all I want to see. And I want to see how they communicate with people. The comments you've put in the chat, all of you, have been amazing. And I like to see that because there's so many idiots out there. You never want to hire an idiot to be on your team. It's becoming more important to have the right culture, the right attitude, and skills are kind of secondary almost, because there's nothing worse than having a bad apple on your team, no matter how good that apple is. So what I mean is, I've hired people years ago, and I didn't look at their attitude, I looked more at their skills. And they might be able to remember every documentation and all the languages and libraries and frameworks, but they can't work with other people. And you don't want those on your team because they cause friction. People don't want to work together, they don't want to pair together, they don't want to collaborate. And you need your team to be happy, you need your team to pair with each other, you need your team to collaborate. So on GitHub, I don't just look at code, I actually want to look at comments. I want to look at how they've responded to people commenting on their PRs. Have they been, understanding? Have they tried to have a discussion if there's been some confusion? That's more important to me. So that's another reason why GitHub's important. And same with other socials. I like to look at people's Twitter and like to see not only what they've posted, what they've replied to. Have they been polite, even if they've disagreed? You can disagree with people. I think disagreeing with people is really important. It's good to challenge people, but you can do it in a nice and professional way. And I also like to see what people like on Twitter. It's really interesting to have a look. Let's have a look at some of the chat. How are we getting on? Sashin says, does contribution to open source help getting a job? Absolutely. Yes. And it's only getting more and more important. It's only getting more important because people want to see your work. I mean, again, I gave this example earlier, so apologies if anyone was on at the beginning of the stream and they've heard this, but imagine it's your money and you're hiring a builder or a gardener and they say, hey, I can use all the tools. I can use this hammer. I can use this drill. I can use this saw. And you can't see their work. Then you'll be like, that's kind of saying everything, but I don't know. I can't see their work. Whereas if another builder said, well, here's a picture of a house we tore down, and here's a picture of the house we built afterwards. And then here's another 10 more, or 20 more, or 50 more. You might not look at all of them, but now you're going to be a lot more confident. And you're not going to ask them, can they use a hammer? Can they use a saw? Because you're going to know that they can do their job. I think it's becoming more and more important to not hire people that know, I need someone that does Angular, or I need someone that does React. I need a full stack developer, or half stack, doesn't really matter, but is good at what they do and they can adapt to different frameworks and libraries because they're changing all the time. So that's what I really believe, and that's what I'm seeing in the financial services, government, startup, fintech scene. I'm seeing that all the time, and even the events that I go to, the people that I speak to, that's what I see. And if you have any questions you want me to ask other people I see at events from, say, Google or they're from Microsoft, then let me know. I can ask them. They're friends of mine. They're more than happy to give their response in the video so you can hear it from them, not just from me. Let me catch up with the chat a bit. I'm falling a bit behind. Never heard of GitHub Actions. I'll check it out. Ellie, you must. So Ellie, do you use Circle CI or Travis CI? It's just like that. I actually want to give a quick demo now. I want to show you how beautiful and elegant it is. Soft skills are way more important than your actual work skills. Well, no use if you can't code as a programmer, but you get the idea. Yeah, Asmodee, you're absolutely right. Soft skills, you need to work with people. You need to speak to the business analyst. You need to speak to the client. You need to speak to the other team members. There might be designers, UX, documenters. I mean, there's a whole raft of people. It's not just one man band. So soft skills are number one, attitude is number one, and then your tech skills, because you can teach tech skills. So for example, Ellie seems to have the right attitude. I mean, I only briefly know her, but she seems to have the right attitude. She doesn't know GitHub Actions, but I know because she has the right attitude. Oh my God, I'm getting tired. I'm mumbling all my words. Getting too excited and passionate. But as she has the right attitude and she can communicate, I know that I could show her GitHub Actions and she'll pick it up in a few minutes. So it's easier to show someone or teach someone tech skills. It's harder to change someone's attitude or help them learn soft skills if they're not interested. They've got to have the right attitude. So attitudes first, soft skills second, and tech skills third. And I don't know all the tech skills. I want other people in my team to show me what they've learned. I'm sure Ellie knows stuff that I don't know. And that's why it's important to be able to collaborate with people. And that's why I love looking at people's socials, because I want to see that they can explain things, be it on a tweet, a blog post, a video, a live stream, whatever it is, because everyone has different background, different skills, different experiences. No matter how experienced you are, even if you've got 1 year or 15 years like me, you've got something to teach somebody else. And when I share what I know, I don't know everything, but what I do know, when I share that, I also learn so much more. I'm sure now when I show GitHub Actions in a minute, I'm probably going to learn something new, because things are always changing all the time, and we can't keep up. That's why it's great to have a really good team around you who look at different areas. One might be really passionate about automated testing. One might be passionate about documentation. One might be passionate about continuous integration. You're all probably full stack developers or half stack developers. You all have your main job, but you still got that niche that you're really passionate about. And imagine if you've got 4 or 5 people, or even 3 people that can collaborate, work well together, and all have their areas of expertise and passionate about. Imagine what that team can do. And even when they come up across something they don't know or they can't do, they're going to do so much better. That's why I recommend people to go work for companies that have a DevRel team, because you know that company is passionate about upskilling their engineers or their people. Doesn't matter what your job title is. They're keen about sharing their knowledge, and it's really important. What else have we got? My cousin's a programmer with lots of experience. He said he would mentor me and help me with contributing to open source. I'm best with Java, but it seems like JS is more popular. I'm learning JS now. If it's great that you've got a mentor, don't just have one mentor, have many mentors. This is another thing I'm really passionate about. When people say, Eddie, who's your mentor? I say, well, I have no mentors, but that's also a lie, because everyone is my mentor. Literally everyone on this stream now watching, you're all my mentors. You all could teach me something, and I could teach you something. So having one point of view, you might have 1 or 2 people that are your key go-to people. So it's great that you've got your cousin who's going to help you, who's a programmer, who's going to help you kind of transition from Java to JavaScript. And we'll come back to that in a minute. I've got something else to say about that too, so hopefully that will shed some light on that. But then everyone you speak to, learn from them and share with them. Just, it's give and take. And I think that's really important. So going back to what I was going to say about Java and JavaScript. If you know Java and you do Java, picking up JavaScript is a lot easier, because it hasn't got the types. It's not as strict. It's a lot more forgiving. And it's got some quirks. I think all languages have their quirks. TypeScript is really nice. So with Angular, for example, for a front-end framework, it uses TypeScript, which ends up being JavaScript. But TypeScript is very much like Java. So if you put TypeScript in strict mode, it's like you're coding in Java. You've got types, you've got generics. You can use all your design patterns. It's beautiful. But it's at runtime, it won't be enforced. Just bear that in mind. Java, it enforces it all the time. But with TypeScript, it doesn't enforce it at runtime. Any advice for finding a good project to get started out? And can I find Java projects, or should I focus on JS? It seems more popular. I want to learn JS as well. JavaScript, I love Java. I haven't done it for a long time, but I do love Java. But all my clients, all kind of hackathons, everyone's focusing on JavaScript or TypeScript. So I would say look into JavaScript more. There are so many more. I think you can just have so many more jobs out there for it, and because you can do the front end and back end with JavaScript. And I think it's just a lot of places going that way to have the same technologies, front end and back end. Therefore, the engineers can be more can jump between the two more easily. The context switching isn't such a big change. So I would have a look into JavaScript. As much as I love Java, so that kind of pains me a bit to say it. But JavaScript over the years has been growing on me. I'm trying to figure out its quirks and so forth. The asynchronous side is actually really quite nice. With PHP and Java, it's a bit more clunky. I know it's got better over the years. But open source, just do it. So I made a contribution to Andrew's project already. Is there any open source projects that you have on GitHub? Put a link in the chat. Let me contribute to your open source projects, and I can show you how easy it is. Or if you want to contribute to mine as practice, I did mention before, go to my GitHub link, and I can put a link in the chat, and then go to this project here on the right, which is, is the screen readable? If you go to Hacktoberfest practice, and then what you need to do is go into the README and stick your name in wherever it fits in alphabetical order, and a link to your GitHub. So if I pick Andrew again, for example, Andrew was here. He's that was the project I contributed, his open source project I contributed to like 20 minutes ago. So I'm just going to show you that. You would have seen him in some other videos, and actually you'll see him in some live streams and videos that we do, because we have another channel together called Code Mortals, where we do more of the hands-on hardcore coding stuff, like with Cypress, automated browser testing, those sorts of things. But I contributed to his Vendora Bedrock project, And so if you see, there's a pull request here that I submitted, and I just added a screenshot to the README. I can go to File Change, and I can see this. But I've noticed he hasn't got GitHub Actions. I don't know if I'll be able to add it for someone else's project. I don't think so. No, I can't. So I'll need to pick one of my projects if I want to give a quick demo of GitHub Actions. So let's have a look. What projects of mine could do with a GitHub action? So I've got this open source book that I wrote that builds out to a PDF and to a website, but there is a Travis file. I wonder if between us, we could convert this to a GitHub action. I could, but I'm worried that I might show do you need a GitHub API key? Maybe you don't because it's already on GitHub. That's something. See, I'm always learning. Maybe one of you watching is aware that going from Travis to GitHub to push the code, I needed to use a GitHub API key. Maybe I don't anymore because GitHub Actions is already on GitHub. So that's an interesting one to know. Let me look at some of my other projects and see what we can do. So Dashboard Hub, I've already moved to GitHub Actions, but I want to pick a project and show you. Let me think. Have you got any projects that we could use? If not, let's have a look. Oh, let me filter this by type. So let's just say sources. I don't want any forks in here because I can't contribute to the forks. And so you can't filter by multiples. Can you? Public? No, it's going to change. Yeah, okay. So let's do sources. And let's just have a quick flick through and see what I could do with GitHub Actions. Let me see. Okay, about me. That's a project that is probably way out of date, but we can see. Has it got any CI on it? It hasn't. But if we look in the package.json, let's see if any commands that we can run on CI. So here you go, scripts. So you've got test, which we're not going to do. You've got serve. Again, that would just be locally. You've got build, which runs grunt. So we could build the project on CI just to make sure that it builds successfully and there's no error. So we could do that. Let me show you how straightforward that is. Hopefully I can remember how to do this. Let's have a look. So GitHub Actions, let's go. Any questions, leave them in the comments. Let me know. Leave them in the chat and let me know. So let's do this. So GitHub Actions. If I click GitHub Actions, it has loads of examples for you. So deploying to ECS, deploying to Azure. There's so many. Python. So I know people were asking about Python. There's a Python one, but I'm just going to pick. You've got a Node one, and I'm just going to pick a Node one. Or let's just set up this workflow. You can set up an empty one. So I've just picked this up, and I can walk you through this. Hopefully you can see my screen. Is my screen okay? You can see it. And what have we got? So the name. This will be the name that appears in the actions list, and I'll show you that shortly. It will be on push, so whenever there's a push, it will run. So for every branch, and you can filter out which branches you want that for. And then what we want is, so these are the list of our jobs. So we're just gonna have a build job. We're gonna run the latest Ubuntu. We don't need a strategy. We don't need to run it on various versions of Node. I think that's just overkill. So I'm going to omit that. And then these are the steps it's gonna take. So it's gonna check out the project. It's going to set up Node with the matrix. No, I don't think we need that because we don't need that one. So I can get rid of that whole step, I think. I'll probably break it now and you'll laugh, but it's fine. Showing the authentic side that even after 15 years, I still make lots of mistakes and still always learning. That's the fun part of tech. So, thanks for the feedback, Ellie. Glad you can see it. I can make it bigger if you need. Let me see. I have got, I think this one. Let me see. Does that make it bigger? Maybe, and I can make it full screen. How's that? Is that easier to read? Let me know if that's better. I do like the speakers on the side and the kind of the red background, but we've got to be practical here. We've got to adapt. We've got to learn. My head's kind of in the way, I've noticed, of the text, but we'll just, hopefully, it won't get much longer. It'll be quite short. I can duck a little bit and so hide away from it. So let's have a look. What have we got? So GitHub Actions. We didn't start from a blank one. We picked one of their examples, and it's going to create this file under .github workflows node.js.yaml, and you can name this to whatever you want. That's fine. So we're going to do an npm install. We will need that. And then we're going to run build if it's present. I think we have build. I forgot what we had now. I think we did. If I just open a new tab. Oh, I can't see the tab. Let me have a look. Close that one. We had in our package.json, we had build. So perfect. So run npm run build, and there's no test. So I'm going to remove that. Let's get rid of that. And this is, you can add environment variables for each step. But again, we don't need that. So let's just start. Let's commit it and see what happens. It's gonna, if it breaks, it breaks. Let's have a look. So submitted that, committed it. That's the YAML file we did. Let's go to actions and see what we've got. All workflows. It might take a second to get started. It has taken a second. Triggered by Eddie. It's now queued. We can click on it. And let's have a look what's going on. So it's running the build. So you can have multiple steps. It's really configurable. It's really nice. While that's going, I'm going to check on the chat. See what's going on. It's bigger. Brilliant. Glad it's bigger and easier to read. I can't pronounce that name. Sarsh? S-A-R. The capital R is really confusing. Sarsh. What are you teaching? Well, I was just talking about DevRel, developer relations, and how I think every developer needs to become a developer relations, as in you need to show that you can collaborate and you've got the soft skills and you've got the right attitude on social media, be it GitHub, open source, be it Twitter, blog posts, YouTube videos, live streams, whatever it is. That's what I was talking about initially. But I'm really open to getting questions and feedback. So we were talking about open source. We started talking about CI. I think I mentioned GitHub Actions, and someone wasn't sure what GitHub Actions was. So I just wanted to demo it. I wanted to show that every project should have CI, even if it's only running a build command, just to check that your code builds, so you don't commit anything that's kind of busted, basically. And so that's what I'm showing, just how straightforward GitHub Actions is. I'm careful not to use the word easy, because it's easy when you know how, and when you don't know how, it's actually quite hard and quite scary. But it is quite straightforward. A few clicks, bish bash bosh, done. So it is running. Let's see how that goes. Is this the open source project on your GitHub? Victor, so this is an open source project on my GitHub. It is just Eddie Jald and About Me. But this wasn't the one I was mentioning that you can contribute to. Well, you can contribute to this one, obviously. It's open source. But if I pick a different one, the one I was talking about was Hacktoberfest practice. I know it's not Hacktoberfest, it's not October. But on this project, it's really good to practice the flow of creating a fork, contributing to your fork, raising a pull request. So all you got to do in this project is just add your name, and if you want a link back to your GitHub, and it's in alphabetical order. And that's all you need to do. So all you would need to do is go to this project, and then you click on the pen. It would automatically create a fork for you. You add it, and just follow the instructions. Commit, next, I think, and create pull request. And then it will appear up here in the pull request, and we can merge it live on the stream. And if you have any issues, ask in the chat, and we'll work through it together. We're all always learning. Let me get back to npm install failed. Interesting. Let's have a look. Why did it fail? Oh, okay. See, really interesting to run things differently, not on your computer, but to run it on a container in CI that is completely vanilla. It hasn't got anything else that you've installed or any kind of hacks you've put in place and you've forgotten about. What, according to you, is the future of programming languages? It's really hard to predict, but looking at the graphs, GitHub and Stack Overflow, I don't trust Stack Overflow so much. But with the GitHub projects, it looks like JavaScript is really racing ahead. And as much as I love Java, and I used to not like JavaScript so much, JavaScript is really racing ahead. And TypeScript makes JavaScript really nice. It's kind of the poor person's version of Java, but in the JavaScript world. So TypeScript is really nice. And TypeScript, you have this great playground. I'm kind of like sidetracking again. But you have a really great playground on TypeScript, and so you can practice. So if you want, so let's just say, I don't know, JavaScript, TypeScript, and if we just say, I don't know, something straightforward, primitives, Not examples. Config. No. Well, this has changed since I last used it. Okay, interesting. But TypeScript. Let's have a look at some examples. Or we can just delete this and I can just write some, right? We can write some together. So I was going to say, I mean, you create a class, I don't know, live stream. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is when you create a variable. So if you go let a equal, I don't know, a string, hello world. This looks very world, I can't spell world, very JavaScript-esque, right? But if you put it in strict mode, it will want you to know that you need to put a string in there. And you may think, well, that's not really beneficial. But when you've got bigger project, when you've got more people on a team, it's on the right-hand side, by the way, is what the JavaScript ends up as. But what's really interesting, if I change this to an object, so if I just say, really bad naming, if I just go, let me think, what's the easiest way to show this? So if I've got A, and then I've got, let's just say I've got B, right? And even maybe B doesn't actually equal anything yet, but B is a number. Later on, if I try to use B as a string, it's going to tell me no, B needs to be a number. So it's really interesting to see that you can't make a mistake and it will say B is a number and it's not assignable. So if you've got loads of files and you're getting an object from somewhere else or getting a class from somewhere else, and someone might have used an ID as a string, or you don't know if phone number, that's a really good example actually, you don't know if the phone number is a string or a number, usually a string. But then it's really good that the IDE, VS Code, or whatever you're using, WebStorm, IntelliJ, tells you that something's not right. You don't have to try and run the code, and you might get some weird bugs and not realizing, because JavaScript is very accommodating in terms of those sort of things. You'll try and typecast it over. TypeScript won't enforce it at runtime, but at least during development time, you're aware of things. That's really, really important. Let me get back to the chat and see what questions we got. So currently I'm on my 12th grade exam after I'm planning to go forward for a BSc, CS degree. So the next 3 years, which programming language should I learn? I think it's really important to learn the more strict ones. If you're learning something in the academic world, Java is really good because you'll understand generics. And whereas what other languages, people who do PHP, Ruby, Python, they don't understand these sort of, I guess, how can I explain it, more strictness. And so when they come to use TypeScript or anything like that, it becomes a lot more difficult. Whereas if you come from a Java world to jump into JavaScript, yes, JavaScript does have its quirks, but these sort of things make sense and you're a bit more stricter. So I'm not saying JavaScript is easy to learn, but I think going from JavaScript to Java is more difficult than going from Java to JavaScript. So I agree, JavaScript is great and safe bet to learn. You should also consider what local companies are using. Yeah, true. See what's popular in the area. I know some places in the States are really popular, I think, with PHP, and React is massive out there, whereas in London and the UK, there's more Java. PHP, I think, is dying out a bit. It used to be popular. JavaScript full stack is massively popular, and more on the Angular side, I see, with the bigger kind of fintech, banking, government. With the startups, okay, React, because it's a massive buzzword and it's more of a library, so people think it's slightly easier. Or although there's probably less to learn, but then as you bring in more third-party libraries, it becomes more confusing, because they not only are there third-party libraries to learn, but different people on the team might not be aware or prefer different third-party libraries. So that's why I like the framework Angular, because it's kind of got everything built in that you need if you want to do a root guard, you want to do a HTTP request to a REST service or something like that. So and we can do some live streams on that if you want to see those. We can do that. I'm kind of, because this is my first live stream of 2020, I'm kind of taking a feel to see what everyone's interested in learning and hearing about. Dipping my toe in a few areas today, and then next time we can be more specific and do various streams on more details. I do have a live stream tomorrow, and the live stream tomorrow is on testing. So I've actually got a friend of mine in Ukraine, him and his company, they do testing, automated testing offshore. So they work with a lot of UK companies, and they're going to review one of my open source projects and give me some tips and pointers on that. Because like I said, although I love automated testing and testing and best practices. I don't have all the answers. I'm always still learning. During the next 3 years, what additional courses should I do regarding programming? I would say get involved in open source, no matter how small the project is. Get involved in that. Go to meetups, meet other people. Go to hackathons so you can pair with other people. Go to conferences. And at conferences, it's not just about the talks, it's also about the coffee tracks. And what I mean by that is at lunchtime or the coffee breaks, go chat to other people. It's great when someone says, hey, I'm looking for to fill a role at our work, and you speak to them, and before they tell you that, they can kind of gauge and they go, you know what, I like this person, and then they'll say, well, why didn't you apply for this job at my work? Therefore, you save going through recruiters, you save for all that malarkey and hassle and all the rest, and you're kind of going more on a recommendation, and you never know who they know. I went to a Women in Tech hackathon, and I remember sitting at the table, and I was there supporting, and I remember sitting at this table at lunch, and I was chatting to these amazing women, and we've been talking about tech, talking about the hackathon, talking about me videoing and taking pictures for my YouTube channel. And then I thought to ask, well, what? Obviously they're coders, but I thought, where do they work? And one of them was at NASA, one was at Google, one was at Facebook, one was at Twitter. And I was like, wow, it's all about powerhouse, like a power team. So you never know who you meet at these events. So I highly recommend going to events and network. And if it's something that is a bit challenging for you, then go to a smaller event first, a small meetup that maybe has 10, 20 people, and then kind of work your way up to the bigger meetups. And then we can talk more about DevRel stuff, which is about you public speaking at a meetup, sharing what you've learned, or open source project that you've contributed, and you can encourage people to get on video or to contribute to open source or whatever it is that you're passionate about, or something that you've recently done and you feel is an accomplishment, then share that with other people. So yes, I'm really passionate about people shouting more about their stories, because it encourages more people to get into tech and share their stories, and it becomes into the snowball effect. I think that's a British term, so apologies if, but it kind of gets bigger and gets faster and picks up momentum is what I'm trying to say. The Odin project is great for learning web dev. Oh, I don't know the Odin project. Let's have a quick look. Oh, let me just quickly mention generics before I get distracted. Generics is something like this. You can say let B equal, I don't know, a type. Wrong way, like that, right? Oh my god, I can't think how to do it now. You can only do it with classes, probably. That's why. Yeah, maybe something like this. But, okay, we'll do that another time. I won't embarrass myself too much today. And this failed. I need to figure out why this failed, and then I want to check out the Odin project. So why did this fail? So this is all running. And what did it say? Here's the error. Make failed. I didn't want to run make. So I think this is actually not a problem with our script. This is a problem with their script. Because npm run build didn't run. You can see it hasn't got the tick next to it because the step before it failed. So npm install failed. And interesting to know why npm install failed. So why would npm install fail? It should install these libraries. Oh, those are dev dependencies. Okay, so there is no non-dev dependencies. Okay, so what we need to do, probably, where's my tabs gone? Do you know what time the stream will be tomorrow? Similar time. It will actually be quite a few hours earlier tomorrow. It's going to be at 1 p.m. UK time. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's not just going to be me on the stream, it's going to be other people. So hopefully it all works. We don't have technical issues, but it should be really interesting to kind of drill down into an open source project and look at my open source project from a different perspective. And I do have automated tests on those projects, but the code coverage isn't high, but there's a lot more to it than code coverage. Out of curiosity, where's everybody from? Which part of the world are you all from? I love hearing where people are from. So it'd be good. Let me know. UK, States, India, Colombia. I've had people from Brazil before in the past. Italy. Yeah, let me know where you're from. I'm really interested to know. Can you do a brief explanation of npm? I had lots of issues getting a project to work on a Mac. I've never had an issue with that. So if you install Node, it comes with npm, and then you can run the npm commands like npm install, which has now failed on CI. But if I ran this, I bet it would pass locally. So that's why it's really good to have it so that you don't... Oh, sorry. Big bang, dropped one of my lights. So that's why it's important to run it on CI, so you don't You don't say it works on my computer and doesn't work on somebody else's. You need it to work on everyone's computer. Yes, they might have individual issues, like, I don't know, installing Node or something, but it should work on a vanilla setup. So that's why it's important. So let me just have a quick look at this as well. Why did that break? Let me close that one. And let's look at GitHub flows, workflows. Why did this fail? So it failed on what step? It failed on npm install. So it checked out the project. So that ran. And then this failed. npm installed failed. Oh, I think I need to run. Does it need to have an environment variable to be in dev mode? I can't think. If you know the answer, put it in the chat and let me know. USA, Midwest. Cool. So it must be, what are you, like 4 hours behind? So it's 7 p.m. now UK time. So you must be what, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon? So tomorrow, if it's 1 o'clock my time, then the stream would be, if you're 4 hours behind, would probably be 9 a.m. your time. So npm did run, but it couldn't find something. It couldn't find, cannot download that. That's the issue. If you want to see my setup, by the way, I think I do have, let me know what you think of my my awesome studio setup. I don't know why I'm looking at this camera, because it's this camera at the back that's on. But let me know what you think of my studio. It's a bit of a mess at the moment. I haven't done a live stream in a while. So yes, but let's switch back to my desktop and see how I can fix this. So it can't find this. So it seems like this is no longer available. So interesting. I haven't run this project in a long time. So that dependency might no longer be available, that version. So that's quite interesting. But again, it shows you that there's a problem. And because it worked on my machine, doesn't mean it's going to work on somebody else's. That's why it's really important to have that. I have a feeling this, the way Reveal.js works, it might have everything here already. Maybe not. No. So that's something for me to fix next time. I'm not going to bore you with that. Let's look at the project Ellie mentioned. What was it called? The Odin project? Is that something dodgy? The Odin project. Your career in web development starts here. Oh, I haven't seen this before. This looks good. Website. This is a website we wish you had a long time ago. JavaScript. Click it. Git. Git's a really good thing to learn. I mean, Git is a mammoth. So I've been using Git for, I don't know, say 10 years. But I'm still only scratching the surface. The reason for that is there's a lot to learn with Git, and you don't use most of it all the time anyway. You only use a fraction of it. And two, it's a living project. They're adding more features all the time. So you just can't keep up with it. But Git is awesome. I really, really love it. Let's see. Sign up for free now. I have to sign up. Let's have a look at their GitHub and see what they got going on. They have no YouTube. They should do some videos with their courses. Maybe that's something we can all do together. We can go through a course. I can record it for a live stream, and then I can edit it out and pick out the best parts for a video. Well, it seems quite popular. Yeah. Okay, I'll have to have a look. Again, I won't bore you with this. Any more questions before we call it a night? Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you get notified. Oh, and click the bell to get notified whenever I release a video or do a live stream. But yeah, any more questions on web dev, getting into open source, getting the job that you want? DevRel, I think DevRel is so important. I've been doing it well before the name became a buzzword, or developer advocate, also known as. Been doing it for a long, long time, and I'm keen to do it more and more. Just getting some messages. Sorry, having a look. Yes, right. Back to my GitHub. I think, well, if there's nothing more in the chat, we will call it a day. I will chat to you soon. If you have any thoughts or any questions or any ideas between this now and my next live stream, just leave a comment in my latest video. I'm not precious where you leave a comment. Or catch me on Twitter, Instagram. I'm on all those socials as well. Okay, and everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the engagement. I really appreciate the questions in the chat. So Ellie, Victor, Saresh, Hitesh, and all the other people, hope I pronounced those names correctly, who came and joined. Thank you so much for the questions. I love it. It makes it so much more engaging. Oh, I've got one more follow on GitHub. Who's that? Who's my new best friend? Hitesh, thank you very much for the follow on the GitHub. And Sashin as well. Nice. And I will follow you all back and see what you've been up to. Like, I can have a little peek and see what you've been doing. Oh, let me close the ones I don't want. Hitesh, you need more open source. We're going to talk about that. And Sashin, got a few more projects. Okay, we'll get more open source going. That's what we want to see. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And I will see you next time. Oh shit, the live stream's still going. I thought I ended it. Sorry everyone. Rookie mistake. You didn't tell me. Okay, so I'm writing in the chat and I didn't realise I'm still live streaming. Let me switch to my ending scene, which I thought I did, but clearly didn't. Hope I didn't pick my nose or anything on the stream. I mean, it would have been really embarrassing.